Welcome to Real Talk, Indiana's premier talk show on real estate investing, where we talk each week about investing your money right here in Central Indiana. The tips, tricks, do's, and don'ts, brought to you by CIREIA, Central Indiana's oldest and largest real estate investing association. Hello there. My name is Vicki Perry, and I'm the Executive Director of CIREIA. We have over 600 members, all active in or learning how to be active in real estate here in the Indiana market. This radio show is available on FM 95.9, AM 950, podcast on YouTube, and www.cireia.org. Join us each week as we talk about how you can make your money more active with better returns and help the community that you live in with real estate done the right way. Now, on with the show.
Hello, everyone. This is Real Talk, the only local real estate investing show where active investors discuss real estate investing done the right way every Saturday and Sunday from noon to 1 o'clock. I am Brian Snyder, filling in for Ron Watson today, and we're going to be discussing some of the headlines that are affecting the real estate investing world. You can check out how to contact each of our co-hosts on our website at CIREIA.org and to find out how to reference the materials we're going to be talking about today. So today we have two of the top investors here in Central Indiana, and just one of the most awesome ladies when it comes to connecting real estate investors out there. So we have Dave Short with Century 21 Sheets. Dave is an investor, realtor, coach, mentor, and one of the most sought after rehabbers in Central Indiana. How you doing, Dave?
Great to be here again.
Also, we have Sterling Davis, owner of Athocity Property Management, entrepreneur, realtor, and active on the board of directors for CIREIA. Hello, Sterling.
What's up, Brian? How you doing today, man?
Fantastic, thank you.
Oh, good.
And like I said, one of the most awesome ladies in here in Central Indiana when it comes to real estate investors, and just the executive director for CIREIA, we have Vicki Perry. How you doing, Vicki?
Good. Thank you, Brian. That's very sweet.
Yeah. All right, and I'm Brian Snyder, like I said, filling in for Ron Watson today. I'm the director of operations for Simple Wholesaling, also a broker with Red Bridge Real Estate. And now let's get into the show. Today we're going to talk a little bit about, it's the end of the year, we're looking into 2019, so we are going to look into our crystal ball a little bit here about what trends we see going on right now and what's going to happen for 2019. So you guys can all just get out your notebooks and just be ready, because we're just going to be all the nuggets that you need.
Hot takes.
Here we go. So yeah, I just want to kind of get into, and we're going to kind of look at this this article here from Think Realty. Written by Bobby Birch. Great article here, but just kind of talking about some of the trends that he has seen and kind of what he sees going on, coming into 2019. And we always sit around and talk about this as we, just local real estate investors, just talking about what's going on in different markets. Dave is flipping houses, Sterling has the property management side, myself as a wholesaler, Vicki talks a little bit of everybody doing everything in real estate. So really, let's just kind of throw it to you, Sterling, here real quick. And I just want to see what trends have you maybe seen the last few months going on around Central Indiana, and then maybe where do you see it coming into 2019?
Yeah, great question. I mean, I think this article is pretty awesome when it starts talking about like mortgage rates increase, home sales will take a hit, the growth of home prices will continue to slow, and rents will rise, right? So I guess in my area of business and line of work, I'm more of where the rents will rise. What we're seeing right now is the market is so healthy for our rents right now that we kind of base everything off the 3 Ps. It's the price, the presentation, and our promotion of it. Where I am giving people performance in the last, I would say, probably just the whole year, but I mean, really right now in the last quarter, we're nearly 30% of what our performance is that we're giving people, which, I mean, it makes us look like rock stars. I mean, but what it looks like, what this article talks about is like rising mortgage rates will affect home buyers first, and renters will likely also feel the impact, and says, the guy that wrote this, higher rates limit the number of homes that potential buyers can afford, so they will stay renting and more people will come into the rental market, right? And for us, that is awesome, because, I mean, I think with having the investor pool, we're been able to get more investors. But what I've been able to see, and maybe Dave can speak on this more, is I got so many investors that we're helping put the person in the house, and then they're selling it almost on a retail turnkey basis. And I think that's just to show like that the retail market is so hot. But I think Dave could probably speak on that a little bit better than me.
Well, the retail market still is very hot in Indianapolis and surrounding counties, and our company, which is Century 21 Sheets, is having a record year this year, and we're not dropping off a lot. What we're seeing is homes will stay on the market for a little bit longer. Well, a little bit longer in our marketplace compared to the last 2 years is 30 days instead of 2 weeks, instead of 2 days. I think what's happened is the buyers that's out there right now have got a little tired of trying to compete and being against 3 or 4 offers in the same house. So I think some of these buyers now, because of the holidays and some other things that's going on, have kind of stepped aside, and maybe they're not in the marketplace today. They're just waiting for January to come, because traditionally our market inventory increases drastically in the first 2 weeks of January. I mean, we currently have 2 to 3 flips ourselves that we're just waiting till the 1st of January to put them on the market and go when it's not as, there's not as many people coming out. I know yesterday, and Brian, stop me if I start to ramble again, but
back in my day.
Yeah, yesterday they had a rate hike of 0.25%. Well, the public looks at that and says, oh my God, interest rates are going to go up. And in fact, I just talked to 2 of my mortgage brokers this morning because I knew we'd be talking about this morning. The rate increase we had yesterday does not affect 30-year fixed mortgages. That's a totally different pool of money that's out there. The rate increases that we had yesterday will affect your car loan. It might go up 0.25% on a $20,000 loan, so it could be $20 or $30 that maybe that car loan goes up. Your credit card, almost all credit card debt what they charge you is based on the prime rate. So, the prime rate has went up, so the cost that they will pass on to you for your variable interest rates on your credit card, could go up 0.5%. They never adjust just the amount of the rate. They always kick a little profit in there. So these things will happen, and if you listen to Dave Ramsey on this radio station, he'll tell you shouldn't have any of that debt anyway. And the rate increase is just is a government factor.
And how much of that has to do with it just being at an all-time low? Like, my grandparents and my parents would tell me of rates, and I'm like, what? Like, that is...
Yeah, like 14% for a house.
How do you ever pay that off? Like, Like, that's just insane to me.
Well, I had years and years ago, we used to sell a lot of Fannie Mae foreclosures, and they had an abundance of inventory in central Indiana, and they said, how do we get rid of this interest rate? And I said, look, if you can put these homes at 11% with 1 point on the 30-year fix, I can get rid of all of your inventory.
Oh my God.
And they said, okay, we'll do that. With 30 houses in Indianapolis, they sold because it was 11%. The market was 15. Oh. And I'm thinking, and I told people in our office, man, if we can ever get to 10% 30-year fix, we will kill it in this market. And today, people would be suicidal if we talked to those kind of mortgage rates.
Yeah. So, Dave, I want to come back to you just real quick and just to touch on this because, we were kind of talking before the show even started about, we've seen maybe a little bit of correction here in Indianapolis as far as the market, as you saying that they're not, houses they might just be sitting there a little bit longer, but really just, it's still not very long here in Indianapolis. I want to get to a little bit just your take on kind of how spoiled we've been, kind of this year, 2018, 2017, and before that, of how spoiled we've been with trying to sell, properties on the market in the retail side.
Well, we're spoiled because we're on the retail side of these properties. Trust me, the buyers trying to buy these houses are not spoiled.
Right.
So, they're very frustrated with the market, and I think in Indianapolis, there's tons of pent-up demand in our marketplace, and this is why one of the reasons we see rent increases that you see, because the people are now, they're thinking, okay, I can wait it out I think there's a lot of people in apartments and houses today that are going to wait it out.
Oh yeah, I mean, especially what I'm seeing in my marketplace is the baby boomers. They are leaving maybe the house that was bigger, and I think the initial thing is I think they thought that they were going to be jumping into a smaller house immediately, and what I see is they're jumping into one of our rentals that still has the cosmetics, still has, the granite. It still gives them the perception of what they're accustomed to without having the house, because they're trying to fill out Brownsburg. It's Brownsburg. They come from Pittsburgh or something like that. They want to see if Brownsburg's a better feel for a smaller house, or they're downsizing for the rental and stuff like that. I mean, so for me, I mean, in the rental aspect of it, we definitely are seeing people just kind of wait it out in different aspects, just because, and that's where, I mean, I think it's great for our retail market once, 2019, 2020, for those, right?
Yeah, you see a lot of people they coming out and they want to downsize from that big house to that smaller house, but the value or the price on that smaller house is still the same as that bigger house too. So I see a lot of people, going to the rentals and stuff and waiting it out, like you said. So that's great.
And that's kind of what I've noticed. I actually have my home for sale right now, and I've been looking at 2.2s. Well, Dave, remember back 20 years ago, a 2.2 wouldn't sell ever. Ever. And now 2.2s go so darn fast that there's just the selection. Even though the market and the days on market has slowed down, the 2.2s are really moving fast.
And that makes me wonder, though, and I don't know if I have the answer to this, but I hate people that fearmonger. Like, some of it's just like, you know what I mean, like, the house is on fire, get ready, because 2019, it's burning all the way down. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, well, and you see it in the stock market. You know what I mean? Like, you see how it can shift the stock market. Dow was down yesterday because, this happened. It's like, what? Like, come on, man. Like, that just makes me uncomfortable.
And when you see people doing that, just because like, oh man, it's been so good, it's turning right now. It's got it, like they're just waiting for it to turn and stuff. Vicky, let's talk a little bit about what CIREIA has to offer. I know we have the state CIREIA coming up here, and CIREIA is partnering with them on that. But I know there's going to be a dinner that they're going to be talking about kind of these housing trends and stuff. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure, happy to do that. I actually sit on the board of directors for the Indiana State REIA, and this is a REIA that just started in January of this year. It was formed to be the lobbying arm for our industry. If you look at it, realtors have MIBOR, builders have Baggy, the National Association of Apartment Complexes. I mean, everybody has a voice except us. And so a bunch of us from north to south got together and formed Indiana State REIA. And in January, on the 11th and 12th, we have a conference at Broadmoor Country Club, and that's on the all-day Saturday event. But on Friday night, we have Eddie Wilson, who is the president of Think Realty, is going to be our VIP dinner speaker. And he's going to talk about what he sees happening for the next year in real estate. And just so you know, his background is he has not only local but international real estate investing experience. He runs 40 different companies. We are very lucky to have Think as a partner for Indiana State and to be there Friday night. He's a couple times. He's excellent.
He's a great speaker. And just honestly, he's just an all-around great
nice guy.
Just, cool guy, and get to talk to him and stuff like that. And just with Think Realty, if you have not checked them out yet, jump on their website. But they have just so many even free resources out there for whatever type of investing you're doing. I know one of the coaches that we work with, Gary Harper, he's a Think Realty coach, and he has some stuff on there. Yeah, and just another great guy. But everybody that I've been associated with Think Realty has just been fantastic. Which Brett and I actually have an article coming out in the next Think Realty magazine. So
really?
Check that one out as well.
Wow, I might have to pick one of those up then.
Vicky, tell us about the cost and the times of the state convention.
Okay, so, and don't hold me to the cost, but Friday night is a VIP dinner. It's at Embassy Suites North, and it's a 3-hour event, and I think it's $49 a person. Remember, everything that we charge for this goes into lobbying and the public relations program. It's 100% net profit into the funds.
Awesome.
There's no one who's paid a salary or paid any income from this association. So that's Friday night. I'm not sure about Saturday price. I think it's $89 a person, but that is from 9 in the morning until 6:30. That includes lunch. That's at Broadmoor. We have 5 speakers. Gary Harper, who is going to be talking about systems and how systems can make or break your business. Linda Liberator, she is phenomenal. I've heard her before. She talks about all these apps and all these digital things that we need to know about. You know, we talk about going into 2019, and my opinion is it's going to be a phenomenal year.
Yeah.
And her apps and things that she they're not hers, but the apps that she recommends just will help us to be able to organize our business. So she's going to be there. The Think Realty panel is going to be there. Josh Coller's going to be there on Saturday. He's part of that Rehab Gary team. I don't know how many of you have paid attention to what's happened in Gary over the last 4 or 5 years, but 10 years ago, you couldn't give away a property in Gary, and today it's a very, very successful and emerging market.
I got some stories about some Gary houses given away. We could talk about it off air, though.
Well, it's fun, and so it's a Friday night and an all-day Saturday event.
And we'll be hanging out at the event. Yeah.
You and Dave.
Yeah, me and Dave will be there. Representing our radio show.
You guys can come and get their autographs.
Yeah, I think
I'll do pictures.
No, I think somebody's not going to be there because he's going to be, in warm weather or something like that. Like
the Simple Wholesaling team will be down in Florida during that time. So unfortunately, we'll miss the state in RIA, but so we have to hang out as a team and just kind of enjoy what we happened this year. So
I would love to explore if we have some time before the break, just because Vicky knows, and all of you guys know, like, my passion about the legislative part of it. Vicky, talk a little bit about just why this is important, right? Like,
you really don't want me to get started.
I can go for days about this stuff. But.
Okay, all right. So let me take it from a landlord's perspective. In the spring of this year, there were 4 towns where if you have, and I don't like to call people deadbeats, but basically if you have tenants who don't want to pay their utilities, they can move out. And in those 4 towns in May, the landlords were legally and financially responsible. Well, now there are 10. So in 5 months' time, we have that many more towns who have already enacted legislation. So that doesn't sound like a big deal when you're talking about water and sewer, but in Bargersville, where Bargersville also owns the electric company, that includes electricity. And these tenants are not silly. I mean, they know what's going on. So that's just a small example. So what happened is the people out of Bargersville joined with Jeff Jinks, and they put together some legislation to try to fight that. Indiana State RIA is helping to sponsor that legislation. I think we have $15,000 we've spent since May toward that already. So part of the money that we make in January will go toward that, because there has to be a state rule, and that's the purpose of Indiana State RIA. And we need a state voice. And some legislation is good. We're not trying to be against legislation. We just want it to be fair.
But everything that comes down the pipeline, if there's no defense to it, then it just sticks, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's almost going to court without a lawyer. Like, who would do that? No one would, right? So I think it's just very important that we have somebody that is advocating on our behalf as investors, as landlords, as people. And I think that's the great part of you and what Jeff and everyone on that team is doing, because it's a need. It is definitely a need.
Well, can I give one more statistic?
Yep.
So I've been told that 75% of all of the single-family home rentals in the state of Indiana are owned by small businesses and small mom-and-pop people like the people sitting at this table. Now, what would happen if the legislation got to the point, or if they just got so tired of all of the changes that 75% of all those rentals decided to pull out? Mm-hmm. Think of the people who wouldn't have a place to live. Mm-hmm. So I guess what bothers me about our industry is, it's like that Rodney Dangerfield, how he used to say, I don't get no respect.
I don't get no respect. That was more horrible.
We don't get the respect and the thanks that our people contribute to the different neighborhoods.
Right. And with this, I just love the fact that, it's going to be a little bit more, proactive instead of reactive when it comes to this kind of stuff. And that's fantastic. So thanks for sharing that, Vicki. We have to take a quick little break. So we have Dave, we have Sterling, we have Vicki, and I'm Brian. We will be back shortly after this break. Thank you.
Are you looking for a new place for lunch or dinner, or a fun place to hold your next company party? Check out Trader's Mill Grill and Bar. Awesome, friendly staff, fabulous food made from scratch, full bar and daily drink specials. Make it an evening with more than 20 screens to get your favorite games, including Golden Tee. Also has 3 pool tables. You can find their menu and hours at tradermill.com. Check out Trader's Mill Grill and Bar located at 5650 West 86th Street, Indianapolis, Indiana.
Do you have a house that you want to sell, but you don't want to fix it up before you sell it? Or you need the cash quickly? Or you just inherited Aunt Susie's house and don't know what to do with it? That's what Dave Short does. He buys houses so you can get on with your life. He pays cash, closes quickly, and buys in all Central Indiana. For details, call Dave at 317-590-4499 or email Dave at bshort@c21sheets.com. That's spelled C21SCHEETZ.com.
Welcome back to Real Talk, everyone. As we are talking about real estate investing done the right way, we have Dave Short with us today, Sterling Davis, and Vicki Perry. And Vicki was just kind of talking to us about the in-state RIA and just everything with the legislation that for the state conference that's coming up here in January, and just everything that they do with the legislation. And Sterling, I just wanted to kind of get your, I know you can talk days and days about this and stuff, so I just want to kind of get your thoughts on this. We kind of wrap up that thought.
Yeah. I just think, it's really great what Vicki has done here, because I'm a member of my board. Dave's a member of my board. I know Brett is and Brian are members of my board as well, and just being able to see how my board has grown over the years. Like, I'm a second generation real estate broker, and we always are having these things, and they're offering up like, hey, vote for this, or hey, make sure that you're knowledgeable about this, and oftentimes that's why you see real estate on the retail market so healthy, right? Like, and you have such a great experience when it comes down to brokers on just this idea. It's like, oh, if you're going to do real estate, you need to get a broker. You need to make sure that he's with one of these top agencies. And I think that goes to the overall health of the industry, is making sure that you have a great legislative piece. And I think that's the same thing that is what CIREIA has done. It's the same thing what State RIA has done. And it allows for somebody to make sure that our industry stays healthy, because there's all these types of people that want to infringe on it, right? Like, you know what I mean? When it comes down to, everyone has a job to do, and I respect the job, but at some point, we need to make sure that we're respecting our industry. And what Vicki and her organization and CIREIA and the things that we're doing there is so important for just the cause and effects of what goes on. And if you don't think that this affects you, oh, it will affect you. Like, I mean, we talk about things like the landlord association, now that we have to like register for those things, and has it been pretty lax in Marion County? Yes. But let me tell you, I have houses in Whitestown, Indiana, and they're charging $175 every time somebody moves out, and then you can't turn on the water because it goes through the city. And it's like, that's so far from Marion County, our center township. And it's like, no. It's right up the street. Like, so you can start seeing these trends. And it's like, I don't think all of this is bad, right? But is all of it necessary? If
people are sitting there thinking that it doesn't affect them right now, I can tell you that we have one CIREIA investor who bought a property, I'm going to say in the last 30 days. And when they closed, they had I think she said $1,866. For some reason, that number stayed in my mind, of back utilities that they had to pay for the previous renters. So that is a huge amount of money when you're talking about an investment property.
And that becomes a lien.
Yeah.
That you have to.
Yeah. So it's retroactive. And in some of the communities, there's one city on the north side of our state, and if you are a registered landlord and you have, let's just say you have 5 properties, and you have a deadbeat tenant in one of those so that the utilities get shut off, until you pay those utilities, they will shut off your other 4 properties. Now, how is that legal? So, all right, see, I told you, you don't want to get me started.
Well, because I think we can all understand that we don't want to pick up the buck for somebody else, right? At the end of the day, they're taking responsibility of their actions. I mean, and I see the opportunity why the government, like, oh, well, we can make sure we get this paid. No, but who is it hurting? It's hurting somebody that has been really beneficial to you. But that's why I think you have to reach out to your city, county council member. I think you have to be engaged with your senators and your neighborhoods. I think you have to make sure that you're really intentional on and hold them accountable for what they're doing. Like, I don't think you can just sit back and be like, well, you know, I elected him because he's a Democrat, or I elected him because he's a Republican. What is he doing for you, like, in your community right now?
Right, and those are thanks guys. Those are some of the trends and some of the legislation that we need to start paying attention when it comes to property management.
Are on the rail.
I need to hear a little from Dave over here and stuff. So, Dave, so just in further on with these one of these articles from Bobby Birch from Think Realty, he's talking about how nationally that actually flipping hit kind of a summer slump in 2018, and I see. It's such just a hot trend with everything from HGTV with all these shows and things. Everyone wants to flip houses, but actually this summer nationally, it hit a little bit of a slump. You want to kind of talk about that and just kind of what we're seeing here in Indianapolis as far as flipping?
Well, according to the article, it said that flipping had dipped 12% in the third quarter of 2018 compared to the same period in 2017, and that puts it at a 3.5-year low. Well, what I think's happening here, especially in areas like Indianapolis and stuff that we can grasp onto, is that we have less things going through foreclosure. Our gauge is, I look at it in 2007, 2008, when we had a lot of foreclosures in Indianapolis. The Marion County Sheriff's Sale once a month would auction off between 700 to 750 houses per month in Marion County. And then they also had other auctions that sold their property too because they couldn't handle the load, and they were selling another 250 a month. So there was 1,000 properties going through at its peak. Mm-hmm. Well, what that means is that investors were there buying these properties, but they couldn't absorb all of them for flips, so they were going back to the bank, and then the bank was selling them. December the 18th, we had a sheriff's sale for December in Marion County, and we had 134 properties go to sheriff's sale. And now we don't have the auxiliary sales, so we don't have the other companies auctioning off for the Marion County. So we've dropped substantially in it. So what that does is going to naturally slow down the flipping market in Indianapolis. The other thing is that we're seeing at the sheriff's sale that we haven't seen before is that people are coming there and having their funds in place and buying their personal residence there.
Wow.
So that's taking away from the flip market. There was at least 2 individuals that bought houses that were what I would classify in owner-occupant neighborhoods, and they were able to play with the big boys, so to speak, because they could pay a little bit more than we could pay and still reduce, still get flip profit in these houses. So, it's going to be down as national averages drop in foreclosures. So a drop like this is not a drop that says, okay, flipping is dead.
You're not worried. You're not going to get out of the flipping business tomorrow.
I'm not going to get out of the flipping business tomorrow. But we do look and change. We change quarterly. We look at everything on how we approach every flip that we do. Mm-hmm. Every flip that we take an interest in today's market is, we'll have 3 to 4 strategies on every one of these flips. We're closing one tomorrow that we're just probably going to sell, put it back on the market and sell it to someone because it's not in an area that we really want to flip in today. We may want to in the future. It will make a great rental. The entry level of this house we're going to sell is $25,000, and the rent on this house is $650. So with some cosmetic repairs done in this house, it's a tremendous return for somebody that wants an entry level flip, and we'll make a modest profit and move on with the house.
Yeah, and I think you brought up a really good point there, and I want to kind of get back to you on this and just so you can kind of add on to elaborate on this a little bit. But a lot of people that are coming into and they're buying a house and they want to flip it. Just have that one strategy. That's it. We're going to go in, remodel. We're going to do this. So what are some of those other strategies? And you're talking about you going with like 3 or 4 strategies. What are some of those strategies that, kind of maybe you need an out if something doesn't work for you?
Well, we look at, we basically take a situation where we're going to buy a house, and if we have to rehab it, I shouldn't say have to. If we decide to rehab it, we will. And one of the strategies would be just to clean it out, put it back on the market, hence be in your business for a short period of time, being a wholesaler. 2 is that we might do some modest repairs on this house. Like this house that we're closing tomorrow, one of the strategies is it's not a big house, but I can make the outside of this house beautiful and leave the inside of the house intact and make a profit because I've taken some of the hard work away from an investor wanting to do this transaction, and somebody can see to the end. There's a lot of things that we can do as a seasoned investor that a newbie investor can't or are afraid to tackle. We're doing a house in Irvington right now as a perfect example. We fixed this foundation in this house for about $8,000. A newbie investor will call out 3 or 4 different companies, and I can flat guarantee you their cost to rehab that, to do that foundation, is going to be $20,000.
Oh yeah, minimum.
And so all of a sudden we've created $10,000 of value that we can pass on to this, newbie investor, and he still will be still can make a very fair profit on the transaction.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that, Dave. I appreciate that. So, and we are going to take a short little break here and just come back and continue talking about some of these housing trends that we are seeing as we roll out of 2018 and into 2019 excitedly about the real estate investing market here in Indianapolis. We got Dave, we got Sterling, we got Vicky, and I am Brian, and we will be right back. Thank you.
Are you looking for a career change or a life change? That is the mission behind Simple Wholesaling, the leading provider of discounted properties in Indianapolis. Simple Wholesaling is all about making the process simple for buyers of properties, sellers of properties, and members of the Central Indiana community who want to generate wealth, free up time, and then help you use that wealth and freedom to make a difference in the world. Check them out at www.simplewholesaling.com or email Brian@simplewholesaling.com or call 317-494-7211.
Is this you? You've heard about landlording and you love the idea of a steady stream of income from real estate, but you're concerned about tackling the 2 a.m. calls and worrying about renters who don't pay their rent on time? That's where the pros at Ethosity Property Management take the hassle out of investing for you. They handle the toilets and tenants for over 300 local rentals and are happy to help you with yours. Call Sterling at 888-212-3764 or check out www.ethosity, that's ETHOSITYPM.com.
Insurance companies say they're going to be there for you when life happens, but the truth is things can get pretty complicated fast when it comes to a personal injury accident. The steps you take after an unexpected crash are crucial. You need help every step of the way. Hey Andy, this is Dave Ramsey. I've been talking about the Randy Sevenish difference for several years now. For 34 years, Randy has helped thousands of people through their worst circumstances. Randy stands as a shield in between you and the insurance company. So even if you've started conversations with the insurance company after an injury accident, talk to Randy Sevenish to make sure you're not leaving money on the table. If you or someone you know has an injury accident, whether you're a pedestrian, passenger, driver, or rider, talk to Randy Sevenish first. Call 317-636-7777 for a no-obligation consultation. Sevenish Law, fierce protectors of the injured. 317-636-7777 or SevenishLaw.com.
Welcome back, everyone. My name is Brian Snyder from Simple Wholesaling, and we have Dave Short from Century 21 Sheets. We have Sterling Davis from Athosity Property Management, and we have Vicki Perry, the Executive Director from CIREIA, here today. And we have been talking about just trends that we're seeing in the real estate investing world, the retail world, just the market in general, rolling in from 2018 going into 2019. And something that has been a trend lately is just how awesome Carmel, Indiana is as a place to live. That's actually where I live. Love the city and everything, just all the awesome stuff that's happening there. And for I don't know how many years this has been, but it's been kind of, like I said, a trend. In Money Magazine, it has rated Carmel, Indiana as the best place to live in the state of Indiana. So, Dave, what are your, I know you've done some deals, you've done some flips in Carmel and stuff. So what are you seeing in Carmel right now?
Well, Carmel is probably the most progressive city that I've seen in my lifetime, as far as they've basically created a lifestyle there. Unfortunately, it's a pretty pricey lifestyle.
No, medium household income is only.
So it's pretty pricey to live there, but it's not pricey to enjoy what they brought to the to central Indiana. You can go there anytime on a Friday, Saturday, Thursday, and get a nice meal and get entertainment, get local fare, that kind of stuff. So Carmel's really strong, and and part of that is just the demographics. It's laid out perfectly. Zoning is, everything has to be passed to make sure it fits into the master plan. And the stuff that I see going on with Carmel and things that all of a sudden I'll go and the shopping center is gone. And I've found out anytime we've investigated certain pieces of real estate, especially commercial, no, the city of Carmel owns that, or this kind of stuff. So they're making plans to keep it all together, and I'm sure this town will stay on the top 10 for many years to come with Money Magazine.
Definitely, and plus we have roundabouts, which is just awesome. I say down with stop signs. You put roundabouts everywhere. It's
They're just fun to do.
So I know Vicki loves the traffic up there, so it's fantastic. But Dave, I want you to kind of touch on here. We were talking about before the break. With FHA, they've kind of changed their parameters a little bit to maybe get into a little higher markets, such as maybe a Carmel or a Fishers or something like that around Indianapolis. Can you touch on that a bit?
Well, FHA in Marion, Hamilton, and some of the surrounding counties, not all of them, raised their lending limits yesterday to $343,000, $343,850 to be exact, in these areas. And what FHA's doing is that they're wanting to get in higher markets because the foreclosure rate is substantially less in a higher market than it is a lower market. FHA still wants to loan to entry-level people, and that's still their main customer. But if they can loan bigger loans in better neighborhoods, then their losses will be a lot less and won't have to be funded by the government. So their losses will be a lot less on foreclosures just from the average. I forget statistically nationally what the average is, but if it's over a $350,000 loan compared to a $100,000 loan, the foreclosure rate is about 90% less in that market than it is. So they've just seen the thing. They've got the money to loan to the first-time buyers, but they want to get into the more sophisticated buyers so they can be a more profitable institution. So that's kind of the niche that FHA is trying to a little bit recreate.
Definitely. And Sterling, I want to kind of get your take on this. Just as we're kind of talking about that, maybe a little bit better neighborhoods as they're moving into there. And you might not have the statistics, but just kind of based off of your thought process here is when you're looking at the outer belt of Indianapolis and you are renting properties, you're managing properties outside of that outer belt versus inside of that outer belt, what is the difference when it comes to like turnover or maybe the clientele or how long tenants stay in those areas?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we have this inside of our software that we use in the market. It kind of talks about like this thing that pops up it's called a risk meter, basically, and it kind of tells you, it takes into account like crime, vacancy, and all this stuff, and it's like a number from 1 to 100, and it kind of tells you how volatile it is, right? Like the turnover and stuff like that. So what you see in some of these neighborhoods that are improving, they still might be around 20 because they have a higher than normal. But when you see Carmel, it's more steady. Like, I mean, our rentals in Carmel, Fishers, Brownsburg, Whitestown, it's just a different rental, even if the rents are below $1,000. Like, I mean, it just makes for a better, don't say better, a more stable tenant base than one that would be more in the inner cities. Because, and I could go down why that is, but I mean, I think a lot of factors play into the community that it is in. If you kind of look at the schools itself too, because I think schools are derived by tax dollars. Tax dollars are derived by people that's paying taxes. Like, you know what I mean? So it is definitely a snowball effect of things when you see the rental amounts as well as the vacancy rates and stuff that we look at that can correlate back to tax paying.
Whatever you just said there, let me ask you another question in regards to that. It's like, what I don't understand, maybe you can help me understand a little bit, is that a really nice ranch in Fishers, Indiana may lease for $1,300 a month, or $1,250 seems to be the market. Yet you go into areas that I would classify as B- or C areas, and those rents are up to $925. Why is there so less discrepancy between those communities?
Yeah, I think it goes back to like why Carmel makes for a good place to stay, like, and live, right? Like, it's the supply and demand plays a factor in that too. But I think it's interesting to be able to see like a $1,300 rental in Carmel or Fishers, and then a $900 rental in a B or C area. That 900. You have to start looking at, like this article talks about, medium household income. You have to start looking at that medium household income on average, and it probably correlate back to the vacancies and stuff like that, as well as the stability of the person, because the medium household income in Carmel is 110, but in that B or C neighborhood, the medium household income is about 50 to 60 or 70. I mean, it correlates back to the same drivers.
Is the Fisher Indiana tenant not putting as much of their disposable income towards housing as
that's good. Yeah, that's a good indicator to look at. I do think when, like, one of my guys, Lee Philibom, that's on my team, he's actually rolling out in the first of the year a blog that's going to be able to gauge this, and he takes in account of the medium household, the crime rate, and all these factors. And what you'll be able to see is the ROI for the investor as well. So what you do see is they are not using as much of their disposable income because they have bigger margins, they have more money that they're working with, so they have more money to go play, they have more money to be able to do more stuff. Where in
it's the quality of the tenants.
Yeah, it's the quality of the tenants in the B or C neighborhoods. That's why I think, even though in these B or C neighborhoods you can't overprice your rental, because you're taking up 40% of their take-home pay, and that can lead to higher vacancies just because your house is so made up.
Have you seen a little trend with that, of like where the market was doing so well that people were just pushing their rents too much that they couldn't get them rented here?
Oh, absolutely, man. I lost some friends, man, like, because what'll happen is they'll buy the house, they'll put granite in the house, and they're like, well, Sterling, I need $1,200. I was like, who told you that you can get $1,200 on this duplex per side? He was like, oh man, this
HGTV.
Yeah, HGTV told me. And then it's like, but and it's really hard. Where you see those at normally is neighborhoods like Windsor Park, right? This was 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, right? A year and a half ago, I had a guy that basically made that argument with me, and I pulled the comps, and he was pulling Woodruff Place. As we know, as investors, Woodruff Place is its own world. Like, I mean, like, you cannot gauge anything off Woodruff Place. Now, do I think Windsor Park and the neighborhoods right against that are improving to be able to match and grow and help Woodruff Place? Yes, I do. But a year and a half ago, no way that we could get 1,200 on a 3-bedroom per side duplex in Windsor Park. I mean, it just wasn't possible. Now I think we're closer to that.
Right.
You know, I think it's closer to the 1,000 to 1,100 for a rental in Windsor Park. But I mean, so I think people just get cocky and they try to make their performer match those numbers versus the market match what your performer should be able to do.
So awesome insights there. I love that, guys. Thank you so much. We are going to take a short break, and when we come back, I'm going to put these guys on the spot and get their prediction, their crystal ball prediction for their best tip going into 2019. So thank you very much. It's Dave, it's Sterling, it's Vicky, and it's Brian. So we will be right back shortly. Thank you.
This is Vicki Perry with Central Indiana Real Estate Investors Association. I've been giving you tips on how to get started in real estate investing. Previously, I discussed that step 1 is join CIREIA, step 2, study, step 3 is to form your team, and step 4 is to go back to step 2. Step 5, while you are learning about investing, analyze your skills and weaknesses. Are you a planner? Do you like minimal risk? Do you like the excitement of closing a deal quickly? Make a list of who you are and what skills you bring to the table for your investing business. Then make a list of who you've met and who can help you with your weaknesses. Information, education, collaboration, and legislation. That's what we're all about. Networking at CIREIA is crucial. Most of our members are happy to help you get started. Go to CIREIA.org, which is CIREIA.org, or call me at 317-670-8491.
And welcome back. We are here today talking about just the hot trends that we see coming up from 2018 rolling into 2019. And I'm going to put each of my guests here on our co-hosts on the spot. And I want basically there's hot take. What's this like? Just great prediction you have for 2019 for all those listeners out there. And Sterling, I'll put you on the hot seat first, man. What's going on? Let's give us your make sure our listeners know too where they can reach you, where they can find you, where they can harass you, whatever it may be.
Yeah, you can find me on the east side of downtown. Just come drop in 115 East Brookside Drive. But no, and also our website www.ethositpm.com. That's www.ethositpm.com, which is ETHOSITY. Yeah, I guess, man, my hot take, man, like I love giving hot takes, right? I guess it would be that trends come and go quickly, right? And oftentimes we're reviewing right now, us as a PM company, like what do we need to do for 2019 to be successful? And oftentimes I'm that guy that's like, oh no, this person came to the marketplace. How is that going to shift our business? What portion of that is going to shift our business? Or what I found, we've been in this business close to 7 years, is trends come and go, and they quickly, like, you know, these gimmicks that come into the marketplace, like with businesses and property managers, and I've realized that investors like yourselves that are listening and stuff, they don't necessarily care about the gimmicks. Like tenants don't really care about the gimmicks. Like, you know, they care about those pain points. You know what I mean? Like, am I getting my money on time? Are you talking to me? Can you fix these problems, right? And so for me, I guess, you know, thinking about 2019, it's as investors, we can talk about like the tech stuff that are coming down the pipeline. We can talk about all these different stuff. But I think the thing that we need to focus on, how can we improve those pain points? Like if you're a landlord, how can you improve those better communication? How can you improve the relationship with your tenants? Like instead of making it a pain, like how can you be a better asset without just these gimmicks of like, video 3D cameras to market houses or stupid stuff like that. Like actual stuff that those things fade, and I have to really tell myself that every year. I'm like, yeah, that came into the marketplace, that didn't last. Like, you know, so, and that's the same thing with investors. Like, I mean, the new gimmick of how wholesaling is going to be this much different, Brian, you probably hear it, and you're like, oh man, maybe we should see what they're doing. And you're like, no, I've been doing it right this time. Like, why am I going to chase that rabbit down that hole?
So very, very, very true, man. Just hold to who you are and stick to that, and I think you'll be okay. So, Dave, let me throw it over to you then. Where can people reach out to you at, and what is your hot take for 2019?
It's Dave Short, and the best way to reach me is my email is dshort@c21sheets, SCHEETZ.com. Well, my hot take is putting what we talked about today into perspective into our lives every day. I've been in the real estate business for 45 years. So that means I've been in the business for 540 months. And if we go through a 3-month, recession where people say, "Oh man, what's happening?" I said, it's not in perspective of what we've going on. So if we're in a 3-month recession or downturn, or people aren't selling their flips at the pace that they would like to, that's 0.00555 of how long I've been in the real estate business. When you talk about 3 months on it, it's 1%. And if you're 45 years old in the real estate business, that's 0.00555. So it's not a big deal. Things will come and go. Things will change in our real estate business. People flipped homes and made a living in 2007, 2008. I know Brian's company was very successful, probably their most successful, put them on the map because they figured out when nobody was doing business.
That's exactly right. I mean, that's, there's always changes, and there's gonna be ebbs and flows with whatever part of real estate investing business you're in, and really it comes down to how you're going to handle it, how you react
just
to
adapt.
it, and just keep going. Exactly right. So, Vicki, let's go to you right now. Where can people reach out to you, and what is your hot take for 2019?
Well, I could talk all day long about joining CIREIA, joining Indiana State REIA, being active. It's not just joining, it's being active. But before I do that, very quickly, I think our listeners need to appreciate the three of you plus Ron. You guys, I know Ron has thanked you in a previous episode, but I'm not sure everybody understands the value that you guys bring to this discussion. If we start with Dave, we here on the radio show we call Dave the Rain Man, because he can quote numbers, and I mean, we'll be sitting here talking about something and he'll come up with a formula, and I'll look over at Sterling and go, what the heck? I mean, it's just, and Dave has a way of looking at things in such a wonderful perspective. As a member of CIREIA, you get to hang out with people like Dave. Now, Dave's a one of a kind, but
Thank you.
He's got a resting mean face, but I mean, he's really approachable, I'll tell you.
Well, and he runs one of our subgroups. I mean, you get to meet people like Dave. You get to meet people like Brian and Brett. Last year, they did 354 wholesale deals. I can't even figure out how much money that is, but it's enough to really, really make me sit up straight. And if people are listening and they think they can't do it, then they need to go to your subgroup or your meetup. And the same thing with Sterling. Sterling runs a subgroup on how to get a business going. Property management is something that most of us don't want to do. And thankfully, there are people like you who want to do it and do it well. So I guess my thing for 2019 is you're sitting there watching HGTV and thinking that'd be fun, but get up off that couch, come to a CIREIA meeting, get active, and
yes, I can.
Yeah,
yes, I can. You ever seen the clumps? Like when he's like, yes, I can. Sorry, go ahead.
At some of our meetings, we've actually had some of the people that was on HGTV doing these shows, so you might run into them.
And Vicki, where can they find you?
Oh, okay. My phone number is 317-670-8491, or email me at executivedirector@CIREIA.org.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. And my name is Brian Snyder. I am with Simple Wholesaling, and you can reach out to me at brian@simplewholesaling.com. That's BRIAN at simplewholesaling.com. And please go ahead and check out our website, just at www.simplewholesaling.com. If you are interested in wholesaling in any way, we have tons of free resources on there. We have a podcast, we have an ebook, we have some articles. And really what I want to talk about, just I have one last little kind of tip, crystal ball thing. It's more of a tip. Sorry, guys. I put you on I wanted a hot take from you, but I'm going to give a little tip just because it feeds off of what you guys were saying. One of the things that I really think for you to be successful in this business and for you to be successful in 2019 is make sure as you are developing your business, developing your ideas, make sure you have some core values, 3 to 5 core values that you are going to hold to, and they really define who you are and what your business is. And if you are making decisions, make sure they're based on those core values. Whatever that is, if they fall outside of those parameters, walk away from it. That might not be the deal for you. Not every deal is your deal. When you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else. So just make sure that you are holding true to who you are, stick to those core values, and that's just kind of my tip as you are going into 2019. So moving on here, we are wrapping up the show. If you have missed any of our previous episodes, you can listen to them on the CIREIA channel on YouTube, or go to CIREIA.org. That is CIREIA.org. And click on the Saturday or Sunday on the calendar of events, and you can check out those shows. In January, the Indiana State REIA is holding their second annual conference on January 11th and 12th. They have 13 regional and local experts presenting all day Saturday with no selling from the podium and no upselling. Plus 30 vendors who specialize in real estate investing, including lenders, attorneys, property managers, Airbnb, and more. You can register now by going to www.indianastatereia.org. Thank you all for listening today, and have a wonderful week and a happy 2019.